A very good evening to you and welcome to a date with it in a set on the 22nd of October, programme 174. You are most welcome. Lots of people in the chat room. Good evening, Roberton Clan. Good evening, Alison. Hi, Barb. Good to see you all. And wherever you are watching and whenever you are watching, as I say, you are most welcome to a date with a dinner set. I am pleased to report that here in Broadcasting House, the whole team is fighting fit now and back on well, 95% efficiency, shall we say. So, yes, so our opening music, of course, as you said, Bob, brother and Barb, simultaneously, was the Muppet Show theme. And it was composed by Sam POTTLE in 1976. And the reason we had that one tonight was because we had a conversation, well, you had a conversation last week concerning the Muppets. We had the theme tune to Sesame Street last week, and we were comparing Sesame Street with the Muppets, of course, both created by Jim, what's his face? Help me with the surname, somebody. So I thought we'd have that jolly theme tonight. And the Muppets, I think we were very lucky in the UK to get the Muppets, and the person we got to thank for that is Lou Grade. I think we know that name, the father of Michael Grade. And Lou Grade, who was head of ATV during the 60s and 70s, responsible for so many programmes, including the Muppets and all the Jerry Anderson things, bringing those and syndicating those, etc. There you go. It's quite good. Thank you, Jim Henson. Thank you, old brother. Very useful. Yes. Oh yeah, right letter. Well, at least quite a few letters. We could. Thank you very much. I have it written down somewhere around me, but I never find my cue cards when I want them. So I hope you've had a good week, despite the very, very stormy weather, which clearly, Miles, you got caught up very badly in that, and we're just glad you're safe, even if your car did not survive. So I hope you enjoy this evening's date with a dinner set. As usual, our mix of 9 songs, standards, bit of Latin, bit of jazz, bit of film music, something from a musical, and, of course, as always, a piece of music we've not featured on a date with a dinner set before. So wherever you're listening, whether you're watching us live this evening, or whether you are watching, as most of you do, on the catch-up, you're most welcome to enjoy the programme. I'll have a sip of coffee. Always a good sign when I'm drinking coffee that everything's well in the world, you know. So we'll have a sip of that and we go on with the show. As always, if you're in the chat room and you want to join in the chat, then please do talk about the songs or the context or what you're eating. So Mark and Judy, I want to know what you're feeding Reese this evening from your multi-air fryer setup. Okay? Thank you. don't know. If you separate them a bit on that plate, it might be okay. Enjoy your meal when it comes. I can see lots of the correct number, even at a distance. It was indeed the title song from 42nd Street. And you probably know this, but this one was a film before it was a musical. It was a 1933 film. It did extremely well at the box office. And it wasn't until 1980 that it was sort of turned into a musical. Yes, sorry about I blame the person that sort of kicked them into action, but they were out of time to start with that. But fantastic music. Oh, there he is again. We've had him not that long ago. Mr. Harry Warren, the composer of 42nd Street, both the music for the film in 1933 and indeed a lot of the songs which were pulled in from other places. Excuse me. Musical from 1980. I was lucky to see the original production in Drury Lane, and it was a fantastic show. Very noisy show. You know, I like tap dancing. I like hoofing when it's done well. Don't often get in your ears, in your head after a while if you're quite close to it. Anyway, that was our opening one this evening. Okay, I'm just going to have to pause here for 10 minutes, everyone, while I read my brother's menu here. So in case people are watching on a catch-up and you don't get to see the chat, my brother and his family are having a totally home-produced supper. No shop bought rubbish for you in Hereford. Home-baked bread, leek and potato soup with quiche to follow shortly. No air fryers. I'm sure you've broken them already. Fantastic. Very good. Oh, and the homemade scones. God, you're like our mother, Mark. Any excuse to make some scones. I was suddenly digging a hole in the road. I'd better make some scones. That sort of thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed our opening lively one this evening. As always, if you enjoy what you are seeing and hearing on A Date with a Dinner Set, then do give it a thumbs up, because it does help people to find our merry channel. Okay, so we're going to move on to onto a cup of coffee. You can probably see, well, I hope you can see, we have a little autumn succulent on the go this evening. I shan't be eating it, but it seems seasonal to do that. So our next piece of music we have had once on A Date with a Dinner Set before. Be careful. Be careful if you want to guess. All you classical musicians out there, I'm looking at you, Stanley family particularly. Be careful. Give it 8 bars, hey? Before we jump in on this one. But we have had it a couple of times before. 50 years old this year, this song. Do enjoy. Should we start the debate about, and if you are having them with cream and jam, there's scones, which are we going to put on first? And somebody will tell me which way around it. I believe that in Devon it goes on one way, and in Cornwall the other. I don't know, and I'm not sure I particularly care, but if you want to chat about it whilst you think about the next song, then please do. Yeah, you're all right. I mean, yeah, well, you're all right. Of course, you're all right. But you are all correct, should I say as well. It was indeed Chopin, Opus 28, number 20, Prelude in C minor, for the first 8 bars, as indeed, as performed and, I would say written, but apart from those 8 bars, by Mr. Barry Manilow. I think that's Barry Manilow rather than a model of Barry Manilow. He is 80 this year. He's doing remarkably well. And 50 years ago, he put together, I'm going to say put together that song, Could It Be Magic? And he openly admits that he had been practicing, because he's a very, very fine pianist as well. He had been practicing Chopin that afternoon. And he then wrote a song based on that very famous, suspenseful, sad, dramatic prelude number 20. So, you know, it's not as if he sort of borrowed it and didn't own up to it, a bit like the person we had last week. This was a very deliberate move, and it's quite a clever fusion. Somebody used the word fusion. Song, Could It Be Magic? 1973. And it did go down extremely well. It became a great hit, although it appeared on an album first, and we had to wait, I think, about 4 or 5 years before it was a single in, I think, I'm going to say 78 on that one. And it's obviously one of his classic songs. Barry Manilow, Could It Be Magic? With more than a little help from Chopin. So I hope you enjoyed that one, our second one. So just at this stage then to give you a bit of an advert for the upload that went on Friday. And obviously with the 100th anniversary of Walt Disney Studios, which happened earlier this week, I did a upload. You Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story, and that went up on Friday. Now, if you watch the channel, which I know many of you do, I got a bit excited after that. I thought, you know what, 100 years of Walt Disney, that's pretty amazing. I can't just leave it at that. And as we are now running on many cylinders back in Broadcasting House, we have put up a number of things since. So yesterday went up the Bare Necessities from Jungle Book, and this morning went up, everybody went to see Cat from the Aristocats, and expect some more until I either get fed up, run out of time, etc. We'll keep that going every day because there are so many fantastic Disney songs, classic ones, so I hope I pick some of yours in the uploads that are to come. But if you want to particularly look at the Toy Story one, there is a link in this video description. Enjoy, Alison. Oh, yeah, take care. Right, so now we're going to move on to a piece of music which popped into my head. Well, no, that's not quite true. I found a link to the free and legal sheet music a couple of weeks ago when we were doing something on the show. And before I'd even opened all that link, I was able to remember it, but I hadn't been aware of it again for over 40 years. I know I don't look that old. But this is tonight's bit of music we've not had before. Let's see if you know what it is or can place it. Failing that, just enjoy it. Yes, indeed. Indeed, it was. The wonderful theme music to the Persuaders, as you're all correctly saying. Um, no, I know Brett St. Clair was Roger Moore's character, but there they are, Tony and Roger. What a team, and what a program. And interestingly, we've got Lou Grade to thank for that one as well. Part of a whole sort of a series. And apparently, the Persuaders used a lot of the locations and sets and scenery and stuff, should we say, left over from The Saint. Very, very good program and iconic, very, very memorable theme music and a really good watch as well. I got introduced to Tony Curtis years ago. It's nearly, well, about 35 years ago. I was playing in a restaurant and there he was. And I was surprised how short he was. I don't know, he was very short, very, very smiley, lovely, lovely chap, very chatty, and very distinctively dressed, with a lovely lady on his arm. But I do remember he had white shoes and white socks and a white suit and a white shirt and a white man bag, and that was the first time, we're talking in the 1980s, I'd seen a man bag. And he, had a real presence to him, and really, really lovely man. Anyway, there we go. That was the theme to the Persuaders, our new piece of music this evening, and composed by the wonderful Mr. John Barry. Mr. John Barry, yes. Because don't forget that pre all the James Bond films, he had quite a career himself. Firstly as a jazz trumpeter in his own band, the John Barry Seven, but also the composer to many pieces of film and TV music since. Danny Wilde. Yes. Yes. Here we go. We're there now, aren't we? And who knows? If we get a moment, we're all going to be on YouTube finding old episodes to watch to relive that. But it was from 1971 that was composed by John Barry for the Persuaders. So let's just remind people who haven't encountered this before, who may come across it on YouTube. This is a date with a dinner set, and if you want to take part in a live chat, you need to be subscribed to the channel, which obviously doesn't cost you anything. You can decide how many notifications you want of when things are happening. Obviously on this channel, Gigi the Piano Man, we do this live program every Sunday at 18:30 for an hour. And we also do an upload every Friday, and currently we've gone a bit bananas, and we're doing an upload every day, probably until the end of the month, in celebration of 100 years of Walt Disney Studios. Daisy, I'll tell you, you're the expert on golden oldies. Did you not invent them? I don't know. I'll take your word for that. Not having telebox, so it'll have to be YouTube for me. Okay, let's move on to our next piece of music to enjoy. Indeed, I can see clearly now. Sorry, I'm laughing at that little sequence of pictures put together. I can see clearly now. The rain has gone. Johnny Nash, 1972. And Johnny Nash, of course, very much a singer-songwriter type of person. A bit like Barry Manilow, but not like Barry Manilow, because of his style is totally different. But by which I mean he was a very good singer and a very good songwriter as well. Worked very closely with Bob Marley at one stage, so it's quite a heavy reggae influence. That song, of course, was a very big hit for him in 1972. He recorded it in London, I believe, and also produced it himself. But it's quite a song. We have had it once before, and it seemed appropriate now that, well, hopefully that storm has gone. Of course, Miles, we're very much aware that not without causing severe damage to your car, well, writing it off. But thank goodness you are okay. It's been a very, very nasty storm. And of course, there's quite a lot of nasty things happening generally in the world at the moment. As always, if you feel moved to make a donation towards the Wi-Fi and the coffee that goes on in Broadcasting House, it is much appreciated. And there is a link beneath the video description. There's also one on the channel header. As always, it is www.paypal.me/Gigi the Piano Man. Okay, so we will now move on to our next piece of music. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times on a date within a set before. Let's see if you can remember the title. You never know, Miles. Strange things happen in this chat room. We've had that, as I say, 5 times. We had it in the Neal Hefti special. There he is, smiling Neal. And that was from 1965, and it was from the film Harlow, about the life of Jean Harlow. And I'm reliably told by Wikipedia, yes, yes, that the film was an absolute disastrous film. That's what I read. Not seen it, but that it made a very big hit of that song for Neal Hefti. I mean, he was already famous by that stage anyway, and he was busily spending the whole of 1965 composing sort of 8 or so notes that was the Batman theme to appear, I think, a year later. But Girl Talk 1965 by Neal Hefti is what that was. Now look, we seem to have a new habit, or I seem to have a new habit, of celebrating a day, and today is 22nd of October is World Wombat Day, and I have to admit, they are rather cute creatures. I don't know anything about them at all. In fact, I didn't really, except that they clearly like being wheeled around in a wheelbarrow. I didn't know what they looked like. And I think some of the pictures I found of wombats on the internet, like this next one, I'm not sure that one is a wombat. I think that's something else that's going on there. I'm not quite sure what that one is. But anyway, today, 22nd of October, you heard it here, if you didn't already know it. 22nd of October is World Wombat Day. Is it not just me being croaky, Hannah? I don't know. I'm just looking hopefully at these sort of bobbing things that go along. Didn't say I've got anything. No, exactly, brother. Didn't know they looked like that at all. Oh dear. I'm not sure what I can do about that because I cannot see it. Oh, here we go. He's bloody Wikipedia herself, Daisy. Fantastic. Oh. There you go. That's what it is. Anyway, that's what it is today, so I thought we'd celebrating it. Very odd. Maybe I sometimes tread on a wire. That sometimes does it. You might have to just put up with it, because there's no good me trying to touch anything, because according to screens there's nothing weird going on. So sorry about that, and I hope it doesn't spoil your enjoyment too much, but I do hope it covers up all the bum notes. It's probably more like to be, or I hope it's more like to be on the voice mic rather than the piano mic. Let's see what happens. Maybe it's a hint. I should just stop talking, yeah? So confusing you said it twice. Indeed, that was The Man I Love, composed, of course, by George Gershwin, as so many of you said. And it was composed, actually, in 1924. 1924 that was composed. And it was originally composed for Lady Be Good, but in actual fact it got taken out of Lady Be Good, and it didn't, before it got on the stage, it didn't appear until 1927, Strike Up the Band. But The Man I Love, we've only had that once before on the programme. So just before we move on, just a sort of reminder really, as always, do give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to comment, it does help, particularly if you're watching on a catch-up. Do tell us what you enjoy on the channel. Share it on, and of course subscribe and recommend the channel to other people. Wonderful. Let's move on with our next piece of music. Hey, very good evening, Jean. You're here. You're here as Jean this evening. How fantastic! Lovely to see you. And I didn't say hello to who didn't I say hello to ages ago? David James. You're probably cooking or eating by now. As correctly identified by Ollie and the Roberton clan, that was DESAFINADO. And as Hannah said, composed by Mr. Antonio Carlos Jobim. There he is. We've not had that picture of him before. I think that's a very good picture of him. And that was composed in 1959, also known as Slightly Out of Tune or Off Key, the anglicised version of it. And DESAFINADO was actually composed I don't know, brother, is the answer to that. Really put me off now. I was going to say something interesting. Oh yeah, 1959, DESAFINADO. And it was composed in answer to critics who said, well, this, it's bossa nova, this new style, is just really a style for people who who cannot sing. Yes, indeed. We'll save that one. Now that we've got that reversed, thanks. So Hannah did reverse that for me very quickly. So next time we have one of Tom Jobim's songs that about the sea or the beach or surfing, we will have the properly facing piano. Yes. Now look. This time next week we will have gone back in time, won't we? Isn't that frightening? It's the end of October already. So, the last programme in October next week obviously will be at 18:30 GMT. It will be dark. It will. Well, not that it wasn't dark this evening. But obviously we will be here, hopefully at the right time, for a date with a dinner set. And it being the last Sunday of the month, what we do on the last Sunday now is we have channel roundup. So there's some news to share with you next week and about what we're going to be doing on the channel. But obviously, as I've said before, in the meantime we are doing a daily upload, something Disney, certainly till the end of the month anyway, so do keep an eye out for those. If that is your thing, it may not be your thing, but just click on it and put your fingers in your ears if not, because it does help the channel. Let's go into our penultimate song this evening. well done, Ollie. You beat those parents. Very good. That sounds like a very impressive score. Were they all legal words? Did you do some rude ones with lots of Q's and Z's in? Anyway, I hope you had a good game. That was indeed from Phantom of the Opera, as composed by, here he is, Mr. Andrew... Oh, no, that's not Andrew Lloyd Webber. But there he is, Phantom of the Opera from 1986. And that was one of the two songs, All I Ask of You, one of the two songs which sort of featured in a bit of a sort of legal wrangle as to whether they were original Andrew Lloyd Webber, or whether they had been just slightly borrowed from a Puccini opera. I don't know which one it was, from about 1910. Still open to contention, that one. The lyrics for that one are interesting, mainly composed by Charles Hart, but also Richard Stilgoe had a hand in that one. So that was All I Ask of You. So just before we move into our final song, this popped up in my YouTube feed, and I don't know if you've seen it, because it was also on the BBC News website. It's worth a look if you've not seen it. It just amused me, this bit of footage. It's only a short bit. I hope you enjoy it if you've not seen it before, of this rather intriguing, mischievous bear caught on a Ring camera. And fascinating. It must have done this before. It just knows its way around the house and into the freezer, opening the drawer, helping him or herself to something. I believe it's frozen lasagna. And I thought, oh, going to shut the drawer. But no, even more clever, using the open drawer as a stepping stone to jump out of the window. And that's a clever trick, isn't it? But that seems to be doing the rounds, and it did pop up on the BBC News website as well. So there we go. Just a little bit of fun. There's so many horrible things happening in the world currently that I think it's nice to smile, and that's why we sort of do this program, as a bit of hopefully light relief. So just before we move into our final song, so Miles, I don't know if you're still there. We are all very sorry to hear about your car, and I just had this one phoned in. Let's all have a sad look at Miles's car. I hope you don't mind me doing this, Miles. You're probably thinking, how did you get hold of a picture of my car? But there's Miles's car. Yes, very sad. So we're very pleased that you got out of that safely and waded safely away, even if the poor car has been written off. So very sorry about that. But we will move into our final song this evening, and the last bit of video was perhaps more of an obvious segue into what we're going to do for our final piece of music. Do enjoy before we say goodbye in our usual way. Yes, indeed. The Bare Necessities Jungle Book 1967 and an upload, slightly different, is there on my channel. But that does bring us to the end of A Date Within a Set programme 174 here on the 22nd of October. I hope you enjoyed the music this evening. As always, it's been a huge pleasure for me to play for you, whether you've been listening live or whether you're watching on the catch-up. And the next time that we do A Date with a Dinner Set, we will have fallen back. Our clocks will have gone well and truly back. And I guess at that point we are more than officially in autumn. I do hope you have a good and safe week that is to come. Oh, hello, Jeannie, Martin. Good to have seen you as well. Do take care of yourselves, and I look forward to the great pleasure of playing for you again next Sunday, the 29th of October. Thanks so much for listening. All the very best, and good night.